In today's video, I am going to show you how you can install and run Linux in a Windows system using VirtualBox. In order for you to follow this tutorial, you need to first make sure you have a Windows PC. After that, you download and install the VirtualBox software, and you also download the Ubuntu image. That is the Linux operating system we are going to use. Now let's begin. We will first go to the download page of VirtualBox and download the VirtualBox installer. So this is the VirtualBox download page. I am going to download the version for Windows, which is here, Windows hosts. So I'll click on it to download the current version, which is 6.1.22. So I'm downloading it now. So download is complete. I saved it on my desktop, so this is it. This is the VirtualBox installer. Now let's go back and download the Ubuntu image. This is the download page for Ubuntu. As at the time of making this video, this was the latest version, so I will download that. Please make sure that when you are downloading, your PC satisfies this requirement here. Okay, please do that. Once you are done, you can download it using this download button. So let's download it. So it is also downloading for us. So the image has been downloaded and it's also on my desktop. And this is the image. So now that we have what we need, we can begin the process. The first thing we'll do is to install the VirtualBox software. So the installer is here. So I'm going to run it and install it. So let's run it. I'll go to next. I will leave the default settings. Go to next. I will leave the default settings here as well and go to next. Here I'll select yes. Then I'll begin the installation by clicking the install button. Installation is complete for the VirtualBox. So I will leave it with the finish button. After installing, you have an icon here. It will be created for you on the desktop. This is what I will use. I'm done with the installer. So I'm arranging the rest. So this is the icon, the shortcut for the software, and then the image. So the next thing to do is to open the VirtualBox software using the icon. So when you open it for the first time, this will be the interface if you are using the same version of VirtualBox. We will now create our virtual machine. And to do that, we can use this icon here, new, or you can also come here and then use it. For this tutorial, we will go to machine, click on it, and then click on new. And then a window will pop up for you to give some information. You will give it a name. That's the virtual machine. What name are we going to give it? I will say Linux OS. After that, I come to machine folder. I will leave it with the default settings. This folder is where the virtual machine created will be stored. So we will leave it as it is. Then next is the type. Here we select Linux. Then we go to version. Here we select Ubuntu 64 bits. So let's select it. Click on it. scroll down and search for Ubuntu 64. So there it is. This is Ubuntu 64 bits. So we select it. Please note that there might be situations where you only find the 32 bits. If you have such an issue and you are confident your system is 64 bits, then please enable virtualization. This can be done in the BIOS settings. Now we select 64-bit Ubuntu. Then we go to Next. On this page, we assign RAM, that's memory. I'll give it 4 GB. Please note the RAM you give should be based on how much you have on your system. Okay, so how much you have on your system will be displayed here for you. Mine is 8 GB. So yours is likely to be different. So you use that to assign the RAM for your system, which will be here. Please note that using the virtual machine means you will share resources with your host system. So you need to be particular with the resources you allocate it. Now we move on to the next. On this page, we make sure we use the default settings, which is create a virtual hard disk now. So you go to create. On this page, you make sure VDI is checked. That's the default settings. Check it and then go to next. On the next page here, which is the storage on physical hard disks, we use dynamically allocated. So you select this one. It's even the default setting, so you just leave it as it is. You go to next. On this page, you define the hard disk space you want to use for the virtual machine. I'll use 20 GB. Here again, your selection should be based on what you have on your system, and it will be displayed for you here. So use that to make a decision. For this tutorial, we will use 20 GB. Once you are done, you click on Create. We now have our virtual machine created. So it's time to install the operating system. To do that, we will click on the operating system. The virtual machine we have created here. We will click on it, and then we will come to the Start arrow here. We click on it to start the virtual machine. After doing that, a window will pop up. This window is to help us to select a startup disk, which will be the image that we have downloaded. Here, it's written empty. Okay, so to select the image, the Ubuntu image we have downloaded, we will come to this icon here, this folder icon here. We click on it. In the next window, you click on Add. And then you locate where the image file of your operating system, that's Ubuntu, is. Mine is on my desktop and it has been located for me. So I'll click the image file and then come to Open and click on it as well. In the next page, your image would have been recorded, so it will be here. So click on it and then go to Choose. Click on it as well. After doing that, the name of your image file will be displayed on the text entry widget here. So this means we are on the right path. So we now click on Start. Close this one. On the next page, you will have two options try Ubuntu and install Ubuntu. We are going to use install Ubuntu, so we click on it. The next page, we select the keyboard layout. We will leave it with the default, which is US. So we go to continue. On the next page, we have updates and other software. We are going to check the normal installation. It should be on. When we come to download updates whilst installing Ubuntu, we will uncheck it. So only this one should be checked. But after the installation, you can always update. But for this tutorial, let's maintain it with this setting. Now we go to continue. The next page, you have installation type. You have erase disk and install Ubuntu checked. That's the default setting, and that is what we are going to use. Don't worry about the word erase. What we are erasing is just the virtual hard disk we created. So this is more like formatting that hard drive. Okay, so everything is virtual, so nothing on your system is going to be affected. So let's check this. After that, you go to install now. Click on it. Then here you confirm by clicking continue. On this page, you will select your location. Ubuntu tries to automatically guess your location. I am in Ghana, specifically Accra, and that is why I have this showing up for me. But you can use any other location of your choice as well, so I'll maintain it with this one. Now you go to continue. You click on it. On the next page, you give some information. Your name. I will use Bioinformatics Coach. For the computer's name, I will leave it as it is. For the username, I'll pick Bioinfo Coach. For the password, make sure you are using a secured password. Repeat the password here. Make sure you have the require my password to log in checked. After that, you go to continue. Then we wait for the installation to proceed. The installation is now complete. So you restart the virtual machine by clicking the Restart Now button. You will now click your username and then you enter your password. Once you have logged in successfully, you will have this window coming up. So you click on the skip. Next. Here you can choose any. You go to next again. And then you click on done. So now you have this window displaying. This is the Ubuntu virtual machine. Now let's go to the full screen mode. We want to make it bigger, so go to View, then full screen mode. We switch. When we go to the full screen mode, notice that the window size is still small. So we have to resolve this issue. So in order to do that, you need to first hover the mouse to the bottom of the screen where you find these tabs. Then you go to Devices, click on it, and then on the devices, the menu here, you click on Insert Guest Additions CD Image, click on it. You will then be asked to run it, so you click on the Run. Then you'll be asked to supply your password. Then you authenticate. Installation will then continue, so you wait until it is done. When the installation is complete, this text will be displayed for you. Press Return to close this window. So once you see that text, you hit the Return key or the Enter key to close that window. So now we have it done. It's now time to restart the virtual machine. On Ubuntu, you can go to the top right corner here, click on it, then come to Power Off/Logout, click on it, then go to Power Off, and then click on Restart. You will be asked to log in again, so you click it and enter your password. So login is successful now. So let's go back to the full screen mode. View, full screen mode. Then we switch. So on the full screen mode, you will see that the windows is still small. So we make our last change. So go to Settings. You can do that moving to the top right corner. Click on it. Go to Settings. Click on it again. And then on the window that appears, search for Displays. So Displays here, click on it. And then on the right you'll find some options here. Select Resolution. And then choose the one which is appropriate for you. I will prefer the 1920 times 1440. So I will click on this one. After that, you go to Apply, the green button here. Click on Apply. Then click on Keep Changes. After that, you have your full screen mode activated. Now let's close this window first, the settings window. So now everything here is your virtual Ubuntu environment. Okay, so from here you can do whatever you want to do with the Linux system. I'll be making videos on how to explore Linux, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so from here you can use the terminal, you can do some browsing, you can do some analysis, you can even follow some of the tutorials where I use Linux for some of my analysis. Now we will make do with one last setting. That's very important. So before we do that, let's exit the full screen mode. How do we do that? We scroll down here with our button, our mouse here, to the lower button of the screen until we see the tabs again. Then you click on View. Then you click on full screen mode again. Then it's going to exit for us. Now we are going to close this virtual machine. So to close this, we can choose to come here and do log off, shutdown, or we can use the window here. Let's use the windows here so that I show you how it is. So you click on this to close the window, and then you have some options here. One is save the machine states. So it will save the session that you were in the virtual machine, but I'm going to use the power off to shut it down completely. So let's do that. Click on the power off and then click on OK. So the VirtualBox has been shut down. Now let's go to settings. I want to show you something here. When you go to settings, let's go to the system. Here you can make some changes. For example, if you want to change the memory size, you can do that here. Another thing you should notice about the processors, the CPUs that has been allocated. By default, only one CPU is allocated. Let's check it out here in the processor. So it's only one CPU. So you can choose to increase it. Okay, but it will depend on how many CPUs you have on your system. Mine is 4 CPUs. So I can choose 2. Okay, so it's important you know this because this will increase the computing power of the virtual machine. So if you are going to do some analysis, then you can try to increase the CPUs in your virtual environment. So let's push it to 2. So that means whenever the VirtualBox is running, 2 CPUs will be assigned to it. There's another option here called acceleration, but we are going to skip it. You can explore that on your own. Once you are done with these settings, you go to OK. And then you are done. So when you start the virtual machine again, the Ubuntu again, you are going to run with 2 CPUs instead of the one that was originally there. So in later videos, I'm going to show you some Linux hacks and then tricks as well, but that will be for another session. So thanks again for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.